Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Barbarian and today this is the second Crusader Kings III Dev Diary. I'm excited, it's a Wednesday, usually, last time they released it on a Thursday, but here we are, and this Dev Diary is called the Medieval Map, and I want to talk about it with you. And I'm a bit disappointed in the sense that they didn't actually give us like a full map screenshot. I would have loved that, I would have been absolutely all over that, but they didn't do that. They gave us plenty of other things to work with though, and I want to go through those, explain what my opinion on it is, and then invite all of you, of course, to also have a take on it, because at the end of the day, these dev diaries give us, as consumers and as fans of the games, a bit of an insight into what the game is and what it's all about, and I think this one will be quite interesting, because there are some different design choices here compared to Crusader Kings II. Let's start with, the most obvious things that everybody wanted to know. In terms of scope, the map will roughly match that of CK2. I know I will disappoint those of you hoping for China, but sadly it will not be on the map. We will, however, have a few new additions. The entirety of Tibet will be present, unlike CK2, where the most eastern parts were excluded, and sub-Saharan Africa is also extended, where we've gone all the way to the Nigerian coast. So, essentially what they've done is they've gone further south, which makes a lot of sense in Africa. The part of Ethiopia and Somalia was cut off. It made no sense in Crusader Kings II. And at the same time, of course, parts of Kanem and so on were also cut off. I think it is excellent that that is making a comeback. Maybe you can even make a bit of a sea journey down there. Try to explore the rest of Africa via events. The best part for me personally is that they extended the map to Tibet but didn't cross into China. Now I will tell you this, personally I am not opposed to a map extension at some point, but this game is Crusader Kings III, and the way I see it, they have to focus on a core area, give us gameplay that really goes deep into roleplay possibilities, but also just into conquer possibilities. I want something that is really thick meat. I don't want, a thinly spread schnitzel, for example, which are tasty, but they aren't exactly what I want from this game. So I think it's a good idea that they have expanded the map where it made sense. They completed the cultural area of Tibet, they have completed the cultural area and the religious area, of course, of the African cultures and shamanism, and have gone down all the coast. That is quite nice. I will tell you, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, it is a very controversial topic. I will tell you, 3 years down the line, after, plenty of, even more revamps, more systems being introduced, I would not be against China on the map. I know I will be crucified for this, and I completely understand, it's not the most popular opinion, but let me tell you, I would be actually, I think it would be endearing. Because Crusader Kings III will, from what we've seen so far, work a lot just with the characters as is. And the Chinese court was essentially that. It was just, a court full of intrigue. And there is some, interesting stuff going on at the time when it comes to internal politics in China. But enough of that. I just wanted to say, this is my opinion. Let me know what is yours. Now, the next one is, they changed a bit of the, how everything looked. It should now be much more clearer. The tooltips, etc. will give you enough information to know about it. The interesting part for me is, we represent the map on 3 different zoom levels. When zoomed far out, the map will turn into an actual paper map, allowing for an easy overview and stylish screenshots. Zoom in a bit and you'll have the 3D map that we have seen in earlier screenshots for on the Steam page. There you can see it. We have not seen the paper map yet. I just want to point that out. There is no screenshot with the paper map. I'm excited for that. With the typical, let me just finish the sentence, zoom in a bit and you will have the 3D map with a typical political overlay, great for interacting with the vassals and other realms. Zoom in even further and you'll see the names of all the counties along with the terrain as we strip away the realm colors. Also, apparently I cannot read. Now this is of course, more of the tactical kind of overview, and I think that is quite nice. Giving us back the paper map look, that, for example, earlier Paradox games have. I'm looking at you, Victoria 2, perfect at that. If we get something like that, I would be incredibly excited, because taking a look at something that really makes you feel like you're looking at a table in front of you and you're planning your next war against, the French menace, I think that is absolutely beautiful. That is exactly what I want from this. Now, another interesting part, of course, we already knew that baronies are handled on top of the map, or rather they are on the map. They aren't just, slots inside of a county anymore. But what is interesting to know is, we have been able to create a map with much more granularity and better accuracy. Most counties will normally consist of 2 to 5 baronies, with some exceptions. The amount of provinces will be noticeable when waging war, as it offers a larger degree of movement for your armies. More on that in the future. I will get back on that in the next screenshot. Let's take a look at the first screenshot here. So, what we can see is exactly what I took a photo of here in Crusader Kings II. This is why I had this open the entire time, you may have been wondering. And I mean, it's insane, right? On the right screenshot in Crusader Kings II, I'm as far zoomed in as I can be. And you can see that I clearly have Essex thick in the screenshot. I can't get it out of there. And now look at Norfolk and Suffolk. And look at the sheer difference in this. Now, it is interesting to me that all of this has changed that much. You know, that the definitive zoom in here is a bit more of a bigger map that you can zoom in on, because, you know, apparently you can mostly exclude Essex, whereas I was not able to do that for the same screenshot. But what is the most important and interesting thing to me is that they are going back to a principle that they have given up in Crusader Kings II and EU4, and I am delighted that they have brought it back. I am talking about rivers clearly being on the borders of provinces. In this case, I guess, of baronies. You can see it right here. Essex, you know, shares this river with Suffolk, but it is separated. In this screenshot, and this is just how Crusader Kings 2 plays in general, the rivers are simply in the provinces. It gives them a more natural look because the map was larger. So, you know, the provinces, rather, I should say, were larger. And because the provinces were larger, if you fit the rivers to them, it does not look aesthetic. But now that they have smaller, you know, granular units here, which is the baronies, they actually have a chance to go back to simple clarity. Now you can tell exactly where the rivers run. You don't have to look, you know, over the menu. Oh, is there a river crossing here? No. You can simply tell. I'm in love with it. That they have gone back to that principle, it means so much to me on a personal level. Now, you can also see, you know, what they still have here. It was always the same here as well. You have the clear, distinction between the terrain. So whenever you look here, you can immediately see maybe this is plains, maybe there's some forest, but primarily plains. This is marshland. You know, marshland over here. This is clearly forest. You will be able to easily tell where which terrain is to fight. Now, the tooltip that they have here is... that was a bit too far. There you go. Barony of Ipswich. Holder, Duke Garth Godwinson of East Anglia. Development 5, which I think they go into that just a bit later. Terrain plains. Very nice. Supply limit 12,750 men, which is honestly quite the proud supply limit, but it is very, very close to the CK2 numbers. So I don't think that they are tweaking a lot when it comes to the numbers of the armies, so the amount of army. County holder, okay. So this map is pretty straightforward. Let's move on to a beautiful, absolutely beautiful map that I will definitely put into a new... There you go. So, on the left side, we have the province map of Crusader Kings II. You can see Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, Northampton, Bedford, Middlesex. You can see all of them right here, and then you look at this and you just think, oh mama. This is different. This changes the way that you look at this world, because everything is so small. You know, I think a big benefit of CK3 when it comes to how it works will be that they made two choices. The first choice that they made in an excellent fashion, and we can just actually complete this here. This is the entire province of Norfolk. Or you know what? Actually, let me... Norfolk is 4. Alright, so this is the entire province of Norfolk. Those are all of its baronies. And you only need to siege down the top barony, much like in Crusader Kings 2, where you only take the castle and then the province is under your control. And then you have taken this province under your control for war score and war deals and whatnot. They have kept this principle, and it was incredibly smart. But at the same time, when it comes to choosing your battle, you have much more freedom. And let me go back to this map. You have much more freedom, because while we are fighting over the same, you know, province, the same baronies, this is marshland, this isn't. All of a sudden, you have so much more freedom in how you decide where to battle and where to, you know, where to await your enemy and where to duke it out. I think this will add a lot of potential tactics to a game that, you know, honestly doesn't have that many tactics options in Crusader Kings 2. There's a lot of backdrop, don't get me wrong here, but usually you can ignore it and you'll be fine. With this map, you are encouraged to look, you know, to take a long, hard look and find out what to do. I also, this is obviously not confirmed, but with these distances, I cannot see the straits coming back the way they were in CK2. I hope they got rid of the straits. We now know that they just turn into boats by spending money, but it would make warfare, you know, against Ireland and so on and so forth, a lot more costly. So let's see how that goes. It's just, honestly, this map is gorgeous when you take a look at the wonderful, the absolutely beautiful tiny baronies that you can have your armies march around in, where you can interact with the barons, and hopefully, if we have some more, you know, character agency, where the characters are in their, you know, their particular county. That would be super cool to have integrated. This map, huge step up. But we are not at the end yet of this dev diary. We are absolutely not at the end, and they are saying something, you know, that they have already confirmed. You cannot play as a baron. The lowest playable rank will still be that of a count. The emphasis will therefore be on the counties rather than the individual baronies. As such, baronies exist with a few things in mind. For example, they can never leave a count. We already knew this. I mentioned it in the what you need to know about Crusader Kings 3 video, but we already knew this, just, you know, confirmed in writing yet again. This means counties stay the same over time, avoiding weird splits where a single barony goes independent or to another realm, reducing that hideous border go ever so slightly. The number of baronies within a county is one factor that represents its wealth and how good it is. Another important factor is the terrain. A county with a lot of desert will not be as beneficial as one with a lot of farmland, for example. This kind of, to me, hints that the industry and the prosperity as we have it in CK2 is going to get overhauled. I would be a huge fan of it. If they overhauled that, I'm absolutely behind it. But what I want to address, because this will be very controversial, I mean it is, it always will be, I feel. And I'm sure that mods will make barons playable. But here's my take on barons and counties. I actually think it's good that barons A, cannot split off, so you cannot split them, and B, that you cannot play barons. At least not for the start. Thank you, Mateus, for the comment. I appreciate it. I remember I responded to a comment of yours earlier. Welcome to the video. So why do I think it's good that baronies cannot be split off? When you look at this map, and you already think back to certain achievements, certain gameplay areas where you need every single province under your control, including all counties and baronies, and then you have a barony held by some weirdo holy order. It's never fun. Baronies not being under the county holder in Crusader Kings 2 is simply never fun. I wish it were, but it isn't. Because then you have to go to war for a single barony. Who does that? It's a waste of time, right? At some point you only go to war for duchies. Having that not happen anymore, I think, is a bonus for gameplay. I think it is an excellent kind of thing. And it is the right choice, in my opinion. I can see the other angle when I heard it, you know, when I was at PDXCon, when they said, oh, you can't. I asked them, right, at the developer stand, and they said, oh, you can't actually do that. You cannot split off baronies from counties. At first, I was like, man, that sucks. I'm disappointed. But then after, I was like, you know what? Makes sense. But if you have a different take, do let me know about it. Now, the other thing that I brought up is that I think it's good that we cannot play barons. Crusader Kings 2 is a game that is about interacting with other characters. If you are a baron, the only person that you have to interact with is the count. If you're a count, on the other hand, you can interact with, well, you know, all the barons underneath you and your duke. There is so much more in interaction and interactivity and not just sitting around and waiting for a claim to be fabricated in this when you start on the county level that I think this is a good decision. Later on, I would actually love to see it if you could play a baron if they implemented more material, so more events, more chances, more choices, more options, more opportunities. But as long as that is not the case, I think it's a good choice. Alright. Cool. That's cool. Don't worry about it. I should have done something about that. I think it's a good choice not to include baronies right there. Now, this map is interesting. I also have a screenshot right here. You can see it right there. And I'm actually gonna maximize you, move you out. There you go. Look at this. So this is, you know, Surrey, Kent, Sussex, Winchester, I believe. I'm actually not quite sure. And you can see it here as well. So these counties are, in most places, not in all, they reworked it for some, but in most places they are the same as in Crusader Kings 2. Except now they are split. So here you can see the split. You see that? You seen this? This is Kent. This right here in the east. This is Surrey. And this is Sussex. So all of this is literally there in the way that it was and that it used to be back in Crusader Kings 2, except it is much more granular. Meaning that the warfare is more interesting. You know, you can fight in the farming, in the farmlands, or you can fight in the forest, or you can fight on the plains, you know, in the forest area over here. I think it is quite interesting, and what is also interesting, but which they have not addressed yet, are these bridges. Tell me about the bridges. Can I not cross here? Do I have to get a boat if I want to cross there? You can clearly see borders here, meaning that this is a major navigable river, right? So, like, we can all agree on that, right? But these bridges, can I only cross there? It would make it super cool because it would mean that we would be looking at a situation where there is actual tactical warfare going on around the bridges. Super exciting as far as I'm concerned. Now for this one, I'm not actually sure where this image was taken. And you know what? I gotta skip this one. I just took an image here of all of Africa because I think it may have been like somewhere in this area, but I do not know where it was properly taken. You can see there's some no man's land here. There's some, what's it called? Impassable terrain. And they have said that they're working with that much, much more. Not as much, if I may point that out, just from the screenshots that we have of Scotland of this game. Not as much as Imperator Rome, but they are using it quite a bit. And I hope, and you know what, I'm actually going to turn up the music a little bit. But I'm hoping that they are using it to some degree that is healthy. Here you can see the impassable terrain because of the deserts, whether that is here, or like, I don't think it's here because you don't see the mountains. You know, this is not in the image. I think it has to be like this, right? See this? But the thing is, the reason why I can't tell is because this is so much further zoomed in than this, for example. This is further zoomed in, at least a little bit. And because of that, you know, it's something I can't tell you. I think it's like this area in Libya, I believe. But yeah, anyway, you can see, you know, clearly they're utilizing this. They're utilizing the forest here, which is gathering around a river. So maybe it's the Nile, but I don't think so. The Nile would be bigger. This is not the Nile. I don't buy it. They're using much more with obstacles and hazards. You know, I think it's super cool. And obviously the map is beautiful to look at. I am so excited just to stare at the map. Good God. Now anyway, the more interesting part here is, you know, they talk about bottlenecks and whatnot. And this is a huge difference. This is simply a huge difference. You can see the same provinces here. Zeus, Tudgar over here. Ziz, far in the east. You have Asfi, which is not even here on the map. It's Zafi here, I guess. And then you have, you don't have Agadir. You have Marrakesh, but it's right here. You have Tinmalial, which is this. So all of this you can see, but obviously this is a huge area in comparison to this. Plus, of course, the impassable terrain is much more numerous in this area. All of these tiny little areas where you can, you know, block off some army, where you can block off some enemy coming in and stop him from raiding your lands. I think it is super interesting that they are working with that, because CK2, historically and notoriously, is not that focused on warfare. Obviously, it's a character game, but the fact that they took the time to actually set that right and make it so that warfare could be interesting if, you know, just wait in the right place and make sure that the enemy will be there and you can tackle them, I think that is quite neat. I think that is quite the interesting take. Now, what I take from this dev diary is that they have learned from the Imperator map design, which is beautiful in comparison to all earlier games. They have learned for it and they have adapted it to Crusader Kings II. The provinces aren't exactly as tiny, the provinces aren't exactly, you know, as numerous, but at the same time, they're split up exactly in the way that you need it. And you know what, I'm not actually sure. Imperator may have like exactly the same amount of cities, but I think Imperator is more. Imperator is more granular, I suppose. Now, the way I see it, this is a good start, but I will tell you, bit disappointed that we didn't see the full map. Come on, you gotta give me the full map, yeah? Either way, this dev diary came on a Wednesday. Let's hope that the next one, you know, might come on a Tuesday next week. Only 6 days between every dev diary. That would be cool. Now, either way, I want to thank you for tuning in. Whatever your take is on this map design and on these beautiful, ginormous islands of Britain, or the British Isles, tell me what you think about it. I'm excited to unify England and to unify the British Isles without it being like, what, 50 provinces? Look at this. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Even Wales. Look at Wales. Okay. Well, either way, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I will see you later. Alligator.